legends. The podcast about urban legends. Meet your host, that's right, Neil Chris Huntley.
Welcome to this very special Christmassy episode of Urbane Legends. With me, lovable supermarket elf Chris Flynn, and with me, as always, is a jolly bearded man who commits several home invasions at this time of year in search for mince pies, milk, and whiskey. It is Mr.
Neil Herbert. I'll take any drinks you got on offer.
Well, they leave it out, don't they, for Santa Claus. So you often...
Who's to say I'm not the ghost of Christmas?
Often you'll knock on the door, tie the family up.
It can get a bit funny games at times, but, you know.
Rifle through their drinks cabinet. Maybe take a couple of presents. Did you like my Christmassy jingle jangles?
It was good. It was like sleigh bells.
It was nice, wasn't it? It was simply my set of keys, but that sounds
ruining the magic now, Chris.
Well, I think that the greatest gift that I could give anyone is a peek behind the curtain of radio sound effects. So, how's your build up to Christmas been going? Have you been going shopping galore, buying king prawn rings, that kind of thing, tangerines for stockings?
I do. I have bought myself
some nuts,
a Terry's chocolate orange.
Ooh, very nice. Bought it for yourself though, not for the orphans, not for the unfortunate kids.
Might consume it all over the course of this podcast, or might give it to a food bank. Who knows?
Is that your Christmas treat, a chocolate orange?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't normally have it at other times of the year. So,
have you been having any hilariously Christmas-themed IPAs, or like a Christmas pudding stout or something like that?
I could probably handle a stout, actually, a bit of an odd one. No, I've gotten a bit bored of IPAs. I like them, but I don't know. I'm going for less hoppy stuff at the moment.
Well, you're just back to the Kronenbergs.
Yeah,
lovely.
Bit of generic lager, that'll do. Or Birra Moretti at the moment. Quite.
Just lager, though, isn't it?
Yeah, just fizzy.
I knew you'd come crawling back. I could never get on with IPAs. I thought they tasted stupid.
I do. It's just, I go through phases. I do quite like a lambic beer occasionally. That's quite nice.
What's that?
Very tart, very sour.
I know you like those really, really strong Belgian beers.
They're good.
That come in like a champagne bottle.
They're a bit naughty though, kind of too many of those. It's just like a, what do they call it? A triple or a double.
They're like the strength of wine, aren't they?
Not quite. They're about. You can get them up to about 8, 9, maybe even 10% of the really, really strong ones. But like Leffy or something like that.
Leffy, yeah, that's the kind of jazz.
Or Delirium's a good one. You can get that in this country now. It's got a pink elephant as its logo.
Ah, so
that's cute.
So very much nodding towards alcohol-induced psychosis.
Yeah, the thing is called delirium. It's literally called like delirium tremens. So it's
Oh, that's good. Good that they're knowing about what they're providing.
It's a nod and a wink at
the homeless community.
You're not paying £3 a bottle. You're going for
did you know
tenant super if you're.
Did you know the story behind Special Brew, which is in Europe something which is very cheap and very strong beer that people down on their luck tend to drink? Do you know it wasn't always that way, Neil? It was actually
it was brewed at Christmas because
No, it was initially brewed by Carlsberg, who still produce it. They made a special batch, special brew for Winston Churchill to thank him for World War II, because he liked to drink, obviously, and
he liked to booze.
Then they just carried on making it, and
he didn't really like this syrupy, awful nonsense. It's nice and strong. You'd have a brandy though, wouldn't you?
Doesn't matter, I'll drink it.
Yeah. You were above neck in a G&T out of a can from Marks and Spencer's as he'd been around today, I would have thought.
On his way to a hen do. So, Neil, are you? What are you hoping that the Christmas fairies bring you this year? Got anything? Got your eye on anything? Got written anything specific in your letter to Santa that you handed to him when you went? Yeah, you went some Buckfast. Because you went to see a Santa, didn't you? Went and sat on his lap, gave him your note.
He wasn't too pleased about that.
Well,
I paid £3.
You paid your money.
Yeah.
So you just asked for some Buckfast this year? Nothing.
You work in the service industry as well. Probably get on with it.
Yeah. Do you know who I am? Just sat on Santa's lap.
Yeah.
So is that it? You just asked for some Buckfast for Christmas? Nothing.
Yeah,
nice warm jumper. Pair of dungarees.
I tell you what, I wouldn't mind that.
With a teddy bear into the front. Something like that. That would look gorgeous. Something you can wear for work.
A fun Christmas jumper, yeah.
Lovely.
Not like... Or one of those ironic Christmas jumpers, like from Die Hard or whatever.
Oh, right. But you don't want
one of them. It's a Christmas movie, you see, Chris.
It is a Christmas movie.
No, you don't. It's a bit too knowing, isn't it? It's a bit too... It's like, you're too cool for a Christmas jumper, but...
Yeah. You're still wearing a Christmas jumper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Makes
it worse. Defeating the purpose. You're so insecure that you can't just wear a Christmas jumper if you're going to wear a Christmas jumper.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to be... You've got to try and be cool. Just don't wear a Christmas jumper if you don't want to.
If it bothers you that much, just don't do it.
Yeah, I don't own a Christmas jumper personally, and
I don't just because I can't see the point in buying one. I always think about getting one, and I just think I don't really want to spend £20. Well,
that's a side of you I've never seen.
It would literally be like a once a year thing, just for a kind of like if you're going out for a Christmas dinner or something like that. But it doesn't seem worth spending like £30 because they're
baubles on the
cheap.
nipples.
No, I wouldn't go that far. Just just some jolly Santa Claus on it or something. I don't know.
Mm. Well,
nothing too major, but
Well, let me know if you make that.
Let
purchase.
people know I'm not above.
I'd like to have a little photo shoot.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
I bet I would. So
of me in and then fairly rapidly out of the Christmas jumper.
Hey man, let's just say the jumper gets smaller as the camera gets hotter. Don't know. So for this Christmas special, and we wish you all a Merry Christmas or whatever you individually.
If you've been nice, if you've been naughty, you can fuck off.
Well, that's Neil's attitude. I don't deal with such absolutes, but I wasn't raised in the church. But Christmas or whatever winter style holiday that you personally do or don't support. Or if you don't support any of it, just, I hope you have a nice time anyway, nice weekend, You have a bit of time. Less people around.
Yeah.
So we are going to look into a little-known Christmas myth, and it is the myth of Perchta, who is a kind of Germanic Christmas witch. So, Neil, how's that got you feeling straight off the bat?
That's a strong start. Coming bold out the gate. I mean...
Christmas witch.
Christmas
pretty
witch.
Good.
Screaming
pretty
at
good.
me in German. That's a promising start.
Very much like that Santa did when you sat on him. So I'm going to go a bit through Wikipedia, but there's lots about Perchta. So there's something on Vice, which I might have a look at, and something of Boroughs of the Dead. Sounds like a nice place to live. Very up and coming. So Perchta, also commonly known
going there
as
eventually, Chris.
The Boroughs of the Dead.
Yeah,
we are. Also commonly known as Perched and other variations, was once known as a goddess in the Alpine paganism in the Upper German and Austrian region of the Alps. Her name may mean the bright one, and is probably related to the name Berchtag, which means the Feast of the Epiphany. Eugene Monk provides an alternative etymology attributing the origin of the name of Perchta to the old High German verb pergen, meaning hidden or covered. Perchta is often identified as stemming from the same Germanic goddess as Holda, and other female figures of German folklore. According to Jacob Grimm and Lottie Motz, Perchta is Holder's southern cousin or equivalent. They both share the role of guardian of the beasts and appearing during the 12 days of Christmas, where they oversee spinning. Nice. Not that would be spinning as in making wool into string rather than...
Not the political spin doctor.
Not a political spin doctor or the
band of spin doctors.
Or the band of spin doctors or the cult exercise biker class thing. Yeah. So Grimm says that Perchta was known precisely in those upper German regions where Holder leaves off, in Swabia and Alsace in Switzerland, in Bavaria and Austria. According to Erika Timm, Perchta emerged from an amalgamation of Germanic and pre-Germanic, probably Celtic, traditions of the Alpine region, and after the migration period of the early Middle Ages. So far, so boring. Let's get into it.
Well, there's a bit of history there, Chris. Would the Celts have been around that? Wouldn't they be more on the west coast? Germanic,
what, the Celts?
Yeah. They're a bit more around.
They were everywhere. I mean, the Celts started out in the Urals, didn't they? So
fair enough.
But there's Celtic stuff all across kind of the Alps, and then
get very confused with those really early kind of like.
Yeah, well, they split. Some of them went,
aren't they?
Yeah, some of them went to northern Spain, which is a very Celtic region. Some of them sort of around France, and then popped over to the UK and Ireland. So
surprised it was linked in with Epiphany as well, which would have been more of a Christian festival, obviously.
Well, again, this is a thing
but that could have been like a hanging their hat on it.
Well,
after the fact, like Christmas itself. Yeah, it's from Yule.
That's what they did, didn't they? Early Christianity, they just went, we'll just stick our stuff where there's already celebrations because it's less of a hassle and people will buy into it a bit more.
Yeah.
So
good marketing from the Romans. That
Tony,
got to know this, guys.
Hey guys, look. We're going to say you're all Christian, right? But you can still have your celebrations at the same time. We'll just add our guy in, and you can celebrate them both, yeah? Maybe make that work, synergize the two different cultures.
You get 2 for 1. I've got a bit of Yule. I can have a bit of eternal life as well.
Beautiful.
Just give some one. That's where the Kinder Egg comes from.
It is. Yeah. It is. That was,
upgraded to 3 to celebrate the Holy Trinity. Not a lot of people are aware
plastic.
Of that.
And toy and chocolate.
I always think of Jesus Christ as being like the lovely milk chocolate surrounding the
Holy Ghost of the white chocolate.
No. He's the toy inside the Holy Spirit. God is the plastic framework. Actually, no, that's not. What are the 3 things? No, it's the chocolate. It's the toy and the surprise, isn't it? That's your 3 for 1.
The surprise is the Holy Ghost because it's. Because, it's not tangible.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's an excellent analogy, Neil. Thank you for that.
Hey, I didn't make it up.
Did you not? Nestle did.
Yeah.
Nestle did. And they are, of course, from the Alps, so that's probably where they got it from. It might be speculation at this point.
It could be, let's see how we go.
And look, let's just say it's hitting a lot of the same chords.
Coincidence, you decide, listener.
So, description. In some descriptions, Perchta has 2 forms. She may appear as either a beautiful and white as the snow, like her name, or elderly and haggard.
Guessing this is a naughty or nice situation. Or possibly not.
In many old descriptions, Perchta had 1 large foot, sometimes called a goose foot or swan foot. Grimm thought that the strange foot symbolised her being a higher being who could shapeshift to animal form. He noticed that Bertha with the strange foot exists in many languages. I'm not reading them all. It's apparently a swan maiden's foot, which is a mark of her higher nature she cannot lay aside. And at the same time, the spinning woman's splay foot that works the treadle. In the Tyrol, she appears as a little old woman with a very wrinkly face, bright, lively eyes, a long hooked nose, and hair dishevelled, her garments tattered and torn. So,
what's spinning all about then?
What? What's spinning all about?
She's spinning yarn.
Don't know yet.
Okay, fair
Don't
enough.
know.
We'll find out.
Traditional narratives. So initially, Perchta was the upholder of cultural taboos, such as the prohibition against spinning on holidays. There you go, Neil.
There you
Not
go.
allowed to spin on holidays. In the folklore
Put
of
that thread
Bavaria,
down. It's Christmas.
put that thread down.
Got to meet the orders for Boxing Day, St Stephen's Day. I'm never gonna.
Doesn't matter. God don't like it.
Here he talks.
Why doesn't he like it? He moves in mysterious ways. He doesn't like people spinning on certain days.
He had a rest on the 7th day. What's good enough for him is good enough for you, all right? Stay no more.
Put it down. In the folklore of Bavaria and Austria, Perchta was said to roam the countryside at midwinter and to enter homes during the 12 days between Christmas and Epiphany, especially on the 12th night. She would know whether the children and young servants of the household had behaved well and worked hard all year. If they had, they might find a small silver coin the next day in a shoe or a pail. If they had not, she would slit their bellies open, remove their stomach and guts, and stuff the holes with straws and pebbles. Crude taxidermy. She was particularly concerned to see that girls had spun the whole of their allotted portion of flax or wool during the year. She would also slit people's bellies open and stuff them with straw if they ate something on the night of her feast day, other than the traditional meal of fish and gruel.
Not much of a feast, is it? Fish and gruel. I mean, I suppose that, you know, it's equitable, isn't it? Gruel is just like a porridge, isn't it?
Like a porridge.
Yeah.
Fish and porridge, that's all right. I wouldn't really call it a feast.
No. Don't get me wrong, a perfectly substantial meal, I'm sure, but
yeah. It's weird that they're having fish as well, considering they're in sort of mountainous areas far away from the sea. Maybe that's what makes it special. I mean, there's river fish, obviously.
Go ice fishing? I don't know.
Ice fishing? You don't really do that in a mountain. That's
no,
normally when the ice is not from the sea.
Well, no, but the thing is, they're not living in. They're not living in the mountains. They're living around the mountains, aren't they? Because they say it was like around Alsace
in and around
Tyrol and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's lakes and stuff. There's plenty of fish.
Fishing, it's fine.
It's just normally when you get fish stuff, it's normally a sea maritime people. So the cult of Perchta, I mean, I've got nothing to back that up. I just made that connection in my head. The cult of Perchta, under which followers left foot and drink for Frau Percht. Oh, sorry, I've gone foot mad. The cult of Perchta, under which followers left food and drink for Frau Percht, and her followers, in the hope of receiving wealth and abundance, were condemned in Bavaria in the Thesaurus Papyrum, 1468, and by Thomas Ebbendorfer von Hasselberg in the Decim Paraceps. Later canonical and church documents characterize Perchta as synonymous with other leading female spirits, Holla, Diana, Herodias, Richella, and Abundia. Abundia sounds good. So that's your background. So I'm going to go to Vice and let's see what they say about it.
Vice, that's always a bastion of reasons. This should be good.
Yeah, sounds like a fun office to work in if you're a young woman. Christmas lore usually comes in the shape of a jolly red-suited man winding a sleigh through a starry night with his trusty band of reindeer. These are... Oh, yeah, do you know what? Sorry, I'm going to go off a little bit here, but it is Christmassy.
Okay.
I was reading about the ancient... So they've found these worked deer skulls and antlers in this kind of Bronze Age site in Denmark.
Okay, yeah.
And it's with it they found like the oldest bow and arrow ever found and that kind of stuff. Okay. But it was it was in it's like a peat bog, so it's all really well preserved. And so they found it, and they've kind of worked out that kind of the ancient. Originally, people, when it was found, thought it was maybe to stick it on your head so that you looked more like a deer and didn't scare them. But looking at cave paintings and stuff, it looks like there was kind of a cross culture of shamans wearing kind of deer antlers and stuff. And that was big. That was big across all of kind of Bronze Age, Stone Age Europe. And in the north parts of Europe, so what was then and is now like the North Pole, so like the Sami people and the native people to Siberia and that kind of stuff, they would the shaman wear antlers, and on the winter, sort of midwinter holiday, they would give gifts to the children. And they reckon that might be very, very far back where the first knockings of Father Christmas came, because they used to go round on sleigh with reindeer, and they used to and the shaman would give gifts to children on the winter holiday. So that through line is a pretty good idea of where that came from.
They've airbrushed that out of the Father Christmas story, haven't they? In wearing animal skulls. And it's not a change for the better.
Yeah, he's always drinking Coca-Cola. Yeah. But I reckon that's maybe where it comes from, and
makes sense.
that kind of makes sense. So that kind of
could be a coincidence, but yeah, it's difficult to know with folklore, isn't it? But yeah, it makes sense.
Anyway, so I just thought I'd chip in with that because I found out about it this week. So there are, however, some holiday figures who are much more ominous. Chief amongst them is the belly-slitting, child-abducting, half-woman, half-demon alpine monster known as Perchta. Well, they've set out their stall early on, haven't they? According to the old Austro-German legend, Perchta, typical advice. It's hardly impartial, is it?
Good Lord.
Perchta is a malevolent pagan goddess who stalks a snowy landscape by night during the 12 days of Christmas. Like Italy's Christmas witch, Befana, she is associated with the Feast of the Epiphany on the 6th of January. Perchta's aim is simple and chilling, to ensure local customs are upheld under the pain of death. In bygone times, this meant no weaving during the holidays unless you dared to incur Perchta's wrath. And what a wrath she had. So I'm just wondering, is there like some kind of reason why you wouldn't weave? I know apart from like, oh, God said or whatever, but I mean, is there any reason why it'd be bad to weave during the holidays?
Christian rather than the pagan thing. I can only think it's because I think I noticed as well that she's going to come and gut you if you don't get your spinning done by Epiphany. So it's a bit of a mixed message. But
well, no, you've got to get it done. You get it done before the 12 days of Christmas, don't you? So maybe it's like a warning. I mean, it's got to be done by Epiphany, but you're not allowed to during the 12 days of Christmas. So essentially, what it's doing there is it's very much like a project manager is putting a bit of tolerance
in there. That somebody's got to get.
Well, it's giving a clear deadline, but with some tolerance. So it needs to be done by the 6th, but you're not allowed to do it in the days running up to the 6th. So if you haven't quite finished, then there's still a little bit of time.
You might have a bit of time at the end, but probably try and get it done before Christmas. Yeah.
Or your guts will be replaced with straw and stones. I mean, it's not. I mean, I've worked for worse project managers.
Well, yeah, many's the time I've been disemboweled by a PM. Didn't agree with. I mean, so yeah, I get the making people do it by a certain date because you want to get, it's just to frighten people into.
Got to get weaving, then, haven't you?
Yeah. Get weaving in the new year,
and then comes spring, and then you start again.
I guess it's just so because they're going to have celebrations. I guess they don't want you sitting in the room doing weaving.
Why not?
Should be.
It's up to you, though, isn't it? Well, I guess the thing is that for tight knit communities, you need to have these celebrations to keep them tight knit.
Well, there's that, and then I would imagine as well. To be honest with you, it's probably the same people who are doing the spinning. They were doing all of the cooking and whatnot.
Yeah, that's probably it, isn't it? Yeah,
blokes are all just sitting around getting drunk.
The 1%ers banning spinning. So people believed that Perchta could enter homes while they slept. If she found the inhabitants had not behaved during the year, Perchta ripped open their stomachs, disemboweled them, stuffing the cavity with straw, rocks, and other rubbish. Old cans, party hats. Straws. She then stitched them up before moving on to her next victim. Oh, okay. So were you meant to survive this?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just...
Why would she...
I mean, what's she doing with the guts as well?
Cooking them.
Yeah.
Perchta was particularly intolerant of unruly children and liked to bring a posse of zombie-like helpers with her on her rampage. Her large and misshapen goose foot is something linked to the tradition of eating goose at Christmas. So this is the first I'm hearing of zombie-like helpers.
It is, and I've seen somewhere else that apparently she used to sort of hang out with a wild hunt. So there's a thing as well. I mean, can I just say as well though, she was particularly intolerant of naughty children. Was that?
Yeah.
I mean,
all of these Christmas things are about getting kids to behave.
Oh, absolutely. But what I'm saying is that disemboweling people for not having their flax spun it's not exactly tolerant, is it? I mean, how is she escalating it?
Maybe not for you, left wing bleeding hearts, Neil, but where I come from, that's very tolerant.
Yeah. Can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
You want to keep your guts
spun without a few disemboweled workers.
You want to get, you want to keep your guts, hit your SLAs.
Yeah.
So, folklorist John B. Smith writes that Perchta's earliest incarnation, dating from the Middle Ages, was as an enforcer of communal taboos. This meant punishing those who dared to weave on days deemed sacred, or those who refused to feast with the required enthusiasm.
There you go, you see, because you can't be spinning and feasting at the same time.
Well, it's basically forced. It's like a Christmas party, isn't it?
Oh, it was like I had one of these recently. It wasn't a Christmas party, but it had a what was it? It was like my department's the directorate's kind of it's not the way days. It was all done virtually. It was all done online. So for the last third of it was allocated to the fun part.
Was it really good fun?
Well, I'll let you decide. So it was being onto a camera with some improv comedians and a lady called Lady Meowington III or something came out and said, "Oh, let's do some nonsense, random wacky things. You have 60 seconds to think of your team name based on an object that you all held." And then they scored you points based on how well you'd done. And
so you're doing sort of improv games?
Sort of, yeah. It was, given there were about sort of 100 people they were trying to go through it with, it didn't go that.
Oh, really? Yeah, that doesn't work. You need a smaller group.
Emphasis on wackiness as well, which, when you're sitting in a cold room in an office isn't necessarily the most fun.
Okay. So you didn't appreciate it?
I wasn't up for it at that time. No, because to me,
Neil says very carefully in case someone from his work ever listens to this, even though saying that you didn't really enjoy it is absolutely fine.
Oh, no. Plenty of people had said that they found it a bit toe curly. It was just. I don't want to. Good luck to them. Just sort of young improv comedians trying to sort of make a bit of scratch, but I don't know. It wasn't their
fault that they were hired to do something for an inappropriate group of people.
It's not an inappropriate group of people. It just wasn't that great, to be honest with you. I'll say no more than that, and I'm not going to in any way allude to who it was. I probably, but yeah.
Tell me off camera, off mic.
In fact, I'm not sure the name of the thing. I mean, I don't. Good luck to. I don't want to sort of. But yeah, it wasn't. Anyway, for any of those things, sort of when you try and be sort of really fun and wacky, sometimes less is more, isn't it?
So, Smith notes, as more peasant women entered the workforce, Perchta's focus turned onto tormenting the lazy. Perchta is a sinister figure, Smith writes, who punished the slovenly, the idle, and the greedy, and the inquisitive. Fucking inquisitives.
Tell you what, me and Perchta would
Keep your nose out.
Me and Perchta would not get on.
No, I am idle, I can be greedy, quite slovenly, and I'm quite inquisitive, so kind of across the board.
Yeah, we'd be button heads early on.
I like to work smart, not hard now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Erin's children got tossed into
Why are we
a sack.
spinning all this flax? What the fuck are we going to do with it?
What's it for?
Get it spun, yeah. Let's move to a just-in-time production facility. Got to be better ways to do this.
Erin's children got
flax
tossed into
fucking piling up in the warehouse. There's nothing else we can put in there.
Yeah, what are we doing with
You've got to throw all this end-to-end at all, haven't you?
Exactly. What's the end-to-end process here?
Yeah. Which strategy? Fucking that's nonsense.
Oh God, what's it called?
6 warehouses full of fucking flax.
Yeah, it's fucking hell. Aren't you even a green belt? Aren't you even a green belt in Six Sigma?
You can sort yourself out.
Right. So, errant children got tossed into a sack and carted off with their legs dangling out as a warning to others. In one story, a young farmhand who incurs her ire by spying on her goes blind. Although his sight is ultimately restored, the message is clear. Don't mess with Perchta.
Second time won't be so lucky.
Yeah. It's a sentiment echoed by authors and independent scholar Stephen Morris, who has written about Perchta. I think my favourite story is when she intrudes on a wedding reception she was not invited to attend. He said, "It sounds like the wicked fairy in Sleeping Beauty, right? She curses the bride and the groom and the whole wedding party by transforming them into wolves."
I'll be honest with you, Frau Perchta's a bit of a fucking downer, isn't she?
Yeah, like just barging in places,
very judgy,
cursing everyone for not being invited.
What have you done lately? Well, no wonder nobody's inviting you to any weddings.
Yeah, you might
go around disemboweling,
stealing kids.
It's very much best mate she killed this year. Inviting to my wedding. You're going to laugh.
Do you have any idea how much it costs per head to have a wedding? And the only income we've got is fucking flax, which we're not selling.
We're not selling it because it's just piled up flax because nobody's doing any fucking weaving because they've just sorted this out.
So, frightening tales of Perchta are certainly entertaining, but there's more to her legend than horror and mayhem. I first heard about Perchta in a book of German fairy tales. Rebecca Breyer tells me that's how she talks further.
Yeah.
She's a forager, witch, and a scholar of Appalachian folklore and magic who feels a strong connection to Perchta. Of course she does. I find any creature or goddess figure that holds any aspect of terror interesting. She's one of many jewel-faced goddesses, both fair and ugly, dark and light. I guess it's difficult not to find Renaissance with deity figures that are so frankly human, like us. With these big oppositional aspects that remind us, in all the light there is shadow, no matter how much we like to ignore it. The thing is, I think that
pretty dark shadow disemboweling people. Did you take Appalachian as well? So,
yeah,
lady's based in America.
Appalachian. No, she's based in America.
Yeah.
But she looks at witch stuff.
No, I was just thinking she'd sound a bit more like one of the characters on Justified than.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway,
but I am suspicious of anyone who says that they feel a strong connection with a goddess, to be honest.
Yeah, you're bigging yourself up there a bit, aren't you? I take the point about the kind of light and shade thing. I mean...
Oh, well, that's that's an original point, isn't it?
Well,
things aren't black and white. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Right, Chris.
Thanks very much. What, you find that out doing your witchcraft, did you?
Somebody asked them to make a point. She made a point. It's not her fault. It's a bit cliche. You know, folklore's built of fairly basic building blocks. It's like the blues, you know.
Like the blues.
Yeah. It's still beautiful, expressive stuff.
Also, very big in Appalachia.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca's point about Perchta's duality speaks to the contrast that make her so fascinating. Her name means bright one, which refers to iterations of Perchta legend, which depict her as youthful and white as snow, as opposed to the elderly and hag-like. She may be a dab hand at belly slitting and a close associate of Krampus, but, as Morris points out, she's also known as Grandmother Winter, the woman who makes the snow, probably the most family-friendly version of her, he adds. Perchta's legend stretches back hundreds of years, but her popularity shows no sign of diminishing. In Austria and elsewhere, she remains a very visible part of Christmas festivals. A perfect example is the Perchtenlauf, which, as Bayer explains, is a mass procession full of noise-making fireworks and people, generally men, dressed as terrible beasts with large horns. The Perchant, or followers of Perchta, serve to frighten away the cold, evil spirits of winter by out-uglying them. There you go. They are so fearsome themselves that they aim to scare the very cold away. There were well-documented attempts of at suppression in the 17th and 18th century, but today these possessions have experienced a revival. We're even seeing these in America now, which delights me. And I'd love to have one in Asheville, NC, North Carolina, where I live someday. Each year, Bayer makes the Epiphany by preparing one of Perchta's favourite meals. I personally enjoy leaving out a meal of oat gruel and herring for her on the 6th of January and having some myself in her honour. I also enjoy creating art and imagery of her to honour her, so she does not become a forgotten goddess like me. It's a sentiment shared by many every Christmas, wherever Perchta and her terrifying deeds are celebrated.
So the thing that occurs to be going through that, Chris, scaring the cold away. Do you think Perchta flying around with her mob is what the Gulf Stream?
I think it could be.
Yeah.
Could be the Gulf Stream.
Although that's cold, and that's why we've got an unseasonably temperate climate in southern England.
Yeah, but that also doesn't explain, why they worshipped her where they did, where obviously the Gulf Stream is of no use.
No, that's true.
Yeah, maybe they were getting their...
Get the Brits out of Germany, maybe.
Maybe they were getting their rituals a bit, slightly wrong, so it hit a bit too high up.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's all possible, Neil. It's all possible. So, what do you think of Perchta? It's kind of a lot of these Christmas things, monsters, I guess, that I've found, they're quite similar, and they all seem to be a way of, as we know, even Santa, a way of controlling children. Like a lot of the urban myths, to be honest, in general, is controlling kids.
Not just children, though, but I think anyone having to sort of work. And, you can see how it's kind of appeared. Psychotic would be the word. It's not great for a modern audience, I guess. But no, it's quite nice. I do like the duality aspect. I know it's a bit obvious, but everyone seems to focus on the disemboweling aspect. It's quite like to know what she does when she's Mother Winter.
She leaves a silver coin and brings the snow.
Oh, okay.
So,
shall we go? That's what Bing Crosby was thinking of when he was singing White Christmas.
What, Perchta?
Yeah.
Well, rumours had it that he did have a series of gruesome murders, Mr. Crosby. Rumours have it. Apparently, he was under the influence of the CIA at the time.
Part of MK Ultra.
MK Ultra.
He shoved a load of acid into one of his pipes.
Oh no! What have I done? Don't know. That's Elvis, isn't it?
That could explain that video with him and David Bowie. Always makes me laugh. You seem like a fine, upstanding young man. Do you know a song called Little Drummer Boy?
Yeah. No, I know that one's fine.
No worries. Yeah, it's one of my favourites.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's a great song. Bowie. Me and Bowie both born in Bromley. Little tip for you there. Very, very similar characters. So, Neil, shall we go?
I love your mine.
I do love my mine. Shall we go through our scoring system, which has yet to fail us? So, Neil, spookiness. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Interesting. It kind of is quite spooky, isn't it? Getting disemboweled.
As it's Christmas.
Yeah, it's my present. It is quite spooky, isn't it? Having some woman come around and judge your house and your workload, and then disemboweling you if you don't meet sufficient criteria. Obviously, it's kind of, and it's quite spooky that that's a form of coercion that was obviously used to try and sort of scare people into compliance.
I like the fact that it's kind of that way of managing people's productivity has really only evolved. It hasn't changed. So if you're in a call center or something, then the modern equivalent being like, we'll sack you, and obviously you don't have loads of money because you're working in a call centre, so you're normally one paycheck away from living on the streets. So it hasn't really they don't slit your guts open, although I'm sure they would if they could. But it's the same kind of
stick rather than carrot form of management style, which hasn't really changed.
Only way they'll learn, Chris. Yeah, no, fair point. Yeah, I mean, hey, at least she's honest, isn't she? You know what you're getting. If you don't get your work done, you're getting a disemboweling. Firm but fair. Yeah, no, pretty spooky on that front, and but it's a bit, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. There's something weird about it just being related to the sort of world of work, but yeah.
Well, and cultural taboos, source of it.
Yeah, you don't step out of line as well. Yeah, I suppose there is that. Yeah, I mean, it's not absolutely chilling the boons.
Turn up at your wedding, turn everyone into wolves.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, that's pretty.
A bit out there, wasn't it? That was
a
bit left field.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that was all about. Yeah, she'll come in pretty hard. Yeah, I'll give this I'm going to give it. I don't want to anger. I'm going to give it a 7 now.
7.
I'm annoyed Perchta. I don't want to get disemboweled because too low at school.
Well, not this close to Christmas. Yeah, so it's kind of, well, they say it's kind of medieval, but that's when they started writing it down. I think clearly it's older than that, isn't it? And it's an old Celtic or whatever the people of that kind of area were. And then it's kind of, they bound it in with Christianity like they did with all the old myths. So it's an old one. Yeah, I mean, it's quite, she's not particularly spooky because she's either, if she's good, then she's an albino young woman. And if she's going to slit your guts open, she's an old woman. But she's not like, although she has got the foot of she has got one foot of a goose, another one. She has got a goose's foot. So that might be a bit weird. But I don't find her that scary, although the things she does are quite horrific. It's just like, there's not a lot around cursing and that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of supernatural stuff. It just seems to be a nice spot of ultra-violence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like the devil leaving a hoofprint in the snow, is it? She's going to fucking cut you.
She's a knife you. It's like a cop.
Look at you.
So, yeah, all right. I'm going to give it a spookiness of 6, but then I would give a Cockney the same. So believability. So I mean, it's obviously just like a fun-ish myth these days. People may have believed it at the start. I'm not sure. Again, it's difficult because it's not like a ghost story or something like that, or like it's kind of a story about a goddess. So that's kind of, it makes it more theological. I don't know. I don't believe that this person existed. Surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's weird, isn't it?
How do you explain all those disemboweled women then?
Of which there were no records. But I believe that it was used as a way to keep people in line, like all of these things. So I'm going to give it a believability of 3 now.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm going to take a slightly different tack insofar as it was probably, considered a bit more believable by people at the time. Again, one assumes it was a reasonably effective form of coercion if it's still being bandied about to this day. And, it's kind of like, it takes on that level of mythology, doesn't it? Which is a slightly different kettle of fish. So just, do you think they had alligators in the sewers in New York or whatever it might be? So for that basis, I'm going to give it a 5.
5, okay. So, Reach. You can go first, Neil.
Yeah, okay. So I've, again, never heard of this one, but it's clearly one that's been around for a very long time. And again, it's kind of reached that mythological status. It's going to be... I don't think I can go too high here because I don't think it'd be a very commonly known one. It's one of those ones where, this kind of... I mean, obviously you have...
Localised mything.
We've very much, we've airbrushed the kind of nastiness out of the kind of Christmas folklore. So jolly old Nick Santa and, and Jesus.
What the fuck is Kris Kringle?
I haven't got a clue.
Americans talk about Kris Kringle.
Kris Kringle, yeah. I think it's
What's that?
Well, it just sounds a bit like Christmas, doesn't it? It's like caged.
But they it's like another name for Santa Claus. What?
No, I know, but I think it's just a slang name, isn't it? I mean,
but that's stupid. People,
well, we've got plenty of silly words for things. You know, we like a bit of slang, don't we? Christ Kringle, aka Christ Child. Who is Kris Kringle? Okay, I'm going to look at the Wikipedia page because that one looks like it might be.
Yeah, let's find out. Sorry to take a left turn, but I want to know what the fuck's going on with Kris Kringle because it's mentioned loads in American stuff and no one's ever heard of it apart from Americans.
Oh, well, you say that, but...
or whatever.
It might come from Austrian and German Christmas bringer, the Christ child called the Christkindl. The Christ kind, Christkindl.
So Kris Kringle is Jesus.
Well, it's another name they've given for Santa Claus, but it basically looks like there's a Germanic kind of tradition where you've got the Christ kind, which is Jesus basically becoming a gift giver.
So Jesus is Santa.
The Secret Santa apparently is from the Christkindl tradition. So Christ kind in German was Christkindl, and then that became Kris Kringle. It then became sort of anglicised, as it's one assumes, people from Germany went over to America, and then it kind of became anglicised.
I'm still not sure what it is.
So it's about another name for Santa Claus, basically. It doesn't really say...
But what's it got to do with Jesus? Santa's Jesus?
Yes.
Well, that's a bombshell.
Well, it was a bit like, what's his face? Judas becoming a vampire, or becoming Dracula, isn't it? You know, it all goes back to the Bible, Chris. Right, who is Kris Kringle? This was Christmas.
It's difficult to find out, isn't it?
Hang on a sec. So it seems to derive from, as I say, Christkindl, which is Germanic for Christ child.
Got that.
Yeah. Hang on a second. But I'm just looking at the way. Who's Kris Kringle? In the US, most of the UK. Most of the UK? Not really. He's portrayed as either Santa Claus or Father Christmas, a returned charitable nomad, yada, yada, yada. Oh, this is just about the origins of Santa Claus.
Ugh.
All right, hang on a minute.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So, like, in America, Kris Kringle and Santa Claus seem to be interchangeable.
Yeah, they totally
to an extent, or it's another name for him. But I don't know. But Kris Kringle, or Christ Kringle, or whatever you said, is Jesus. So
he's Christ child. Yeah. Webster's dictionary traces Kris Kringle back to the German Christkindl, meaning Christ child.
If you say Kris Kringle again, I'm going to kill you.
Oh, shit. You fucking arse. You can go crying to me and tell you what the etymology...
I'll cry to Kris
shit why it's called Kris Kringle.
Yeah, you do.
It's fucking finding out for you. You're going to sort of piss and moan about it. Yeah, there you go. You know. Also, he's apparently in Ireland. I've never heard anyone named Other Ireland call him Kris Kringle. In Canada and Australia as well.
No.
Anyway, it basically it comes from a Germanic name for Jesus, who was one of the original... In a Pennsylvania German context, the Rimpton Pass, properly baby Jesus, not Santa Claus. What's the actual origin of the first? Oh, I don't know. So somehow they corrupted a name for Jesus and knocked it on.
And added it, made it Santa's.
Because because the origins of Santa Claus as well, they reckon it's St. Nicholas, don't they? Is where it may have come from. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was,
Well, and the shaman,
possibly
not the band.
But a lot of the attributes.
Okay, well, there we go. So basically, it's been misused. And it's now in popular.
Yeah, it's now in popular use as a name for Santa Claus in the US, the UK, Ireland, Australia, Canada.
So just to let you know, if you're in the US, Kris Kringle actually means Christ child. So you are calling Santa Jesus. Right, so reach Neil. Sorry,
maybe the Holy Ghost. Maybe he's who knows. Sorry, what's we got? Reach. Okay. So yeah, I'll give it. I think it needs a reasonable score for the posterity. But I'd never heard of it. I don't think it's something that's really commonly well known at the moment. It'll be around for
relatively small area as well, not very inhabited.
Considering how long it's been around for, I'm going to have to give it, I think, a 5. But Yeah, I can't go any higher than that just because it's just not something that people.
Yeah,
really
I
know
agree
these
with you,
days.
Neil. It's not a very popular. It's a very specific geographical area, which is that kind of alpine sort of area, and southern Germany and Austria and stuff. But it's not a very populated area. It is old, but it's not really. It's not had the breakthrough that say Krampus has had, because Krampus is much better known. I don't know why. Maybe it's because she slits people's stomachs open, but I think Krampus does some shit as well.
We're a bit less obsessed with flax these days, I think.
Do you reckon it's the?
I'm not sure I knew what flax was before we started this conversation. To be honest with you, yeah. Weaving's taken on a bit less of a importance.
Yeah, maybe the Industrial Revolution had for her, I think.
Yeah.
But she's still
Spinning
around.
Jenny, she was furious about them as well. Can't disembowel those, can you?
Who were those people who did that?
The Luddites.
The Luddites, that's it. So, yeah, I want to go with it, like, for posterity and the fact that, a good few million, maybe 10 million people know about it and celebrate it, or don't celebrate it but know about it. But, when we're talking urban, the scale of urban legends that we do, that's not very many. So I want to go 5-2. Probably the Black Vulgar's more known, to be honest.
Could be.
So narrative premise. So it's difficult with these Christmas premises because all of these monsters seem to have a very similar MO, but we don't know which ones came first or anything. I like the fact that she brings the snow, the duality thing's not really explained very well so far that we've seen. But, she can bring the snow, which they say is a good thing, but I would imagine in the medieval times that them getting snow probably wasn't a particularly great thing, apart from made stuff look nice, but it's probably,
kept your
not
food
ideal.
from preserved for a bit longer.
Get your flax frozen.
Get your flax nice and frozen. I don't know, it might preserve your food a bit, mightn't it?
Maybe. I don't know.
If that was helpful.
But, so that and the silver penny. I mean, there's always the silver penny seems pretty ubiquitous, but that's fine. But I do like the fact that I've seen. Well, no, that's not true. That it could be true. That I've looked into that she's currently the most violent Christmas deity that I've seen. Although there are ones that definitely eat kids and stuff, so we'll go into them another Christmas next year. We'll have a look at one of them. And I like flax. I like the fact that flax is heavily involved in it, obviously. I'm a big flax head.
Big weaving fan, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a weave stand.
Yeah.
Weave stand.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 5 again.
Okay. I'm torn on this one because I quite like some of the little features, but there's not a lot to it. It's the same with a lot of kind of like minor mythological characters. There's kind of some fun little details. I like the goose leg. That's good.
That is good.
It's a nice little touch. One leg for spinning, one leg for goosing. Don't know what she's doing with that goose leg, but anyway, I can't remember what they said.
No, I can turn all of myself into a beautiful woman apart from this one leg, and I have to keep this goose because I'm very much tied to the animal kingdom.
I think she's picking against the patriarchy, and she's not, bound by traditional standards of female beauty, which I think is a good thing. I think, good for her. I like the fact that it's, representing the ladies as well, so that's good. But yeah, it's the problem is once you've disemboweling people for everything, it's kind of like you've got no escalation point. So,
because she steals some of the kids. And also now, and then started crashing weddings.
That's true, yeah. So you turn people into wolves. I don't know. I think
she seems to be most famous for the disemboweling and stuffing his stomach full of litter and straw and pebbles. But it seems like she does, when she feels like it, just does some other shit.
Yeah, she'll be an agent of chaos. Yeah, I reckon you could get knock out a couple of series on Netflix about this. I reckon. Right. Yeah. It'd get a bit repetitive. You'd have to go back to the disemboweling.
Moonweavers.
I think the trick there, Chris, is you leave the disemboweling until the end of season 1.
Yeah, of course.
You keep that ace tucked away in the pack until you're ready to play it out. And everyone's like, "Oh, what are you going to do, Goosefoot?" And then comes out the knives. It's like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. It's fucking disemboweling all over the shop.
Yeah, it'll be called the Snow Weavers, of course. Yeah. Using my system, my algorithm.
You haven't spun on the flax, Grandma. What are you going to do about it? The shitty metal kicks in. I think I've just took myself into a 6.
So is that going to be a 6?
That's going to be a 6.
Lovely. All right. That gives us an overall score of 42.
Not too shabby.
Bad. We will have to at some point write down the list of what everything got scores-wise, because I don't know.
We've got to. I'd like to see a little bit of a sampling and see how much distribution we're getting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that are kind of...
There's a lot landing in that kind of 40 zone, aren't they? 30
so.
To 50 zone. I'd like to see if we've got any broken into the 50s, for example.
Well, there are a few.
No, we've had, yeah.
Well, I guess if you...
Is it, like a classical bell curve distribution? Or is it, yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And, again...
Let's plot it and see.
And again, that backs up the
validity
algorithm, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, if you want to send us any Christmas vouchers or anything, there is a list of... there's an Amazon wish list on my OnlyFans.
Like a Perchta Christmas jumper, that'd be good.
Yeah, on my OnlyFans, so have a look at that. But if you've got any Christmas myths or anything you'd like us to look at in the new year, you can email us at urb.legends.podcast@gmail.com. And next week we will be looking at an urban myth, which is about the new year. There is such a thing. And so I will just say from Urban Legends and me personally, have a Merry Christmas or Kwanzaa or whatever you're doing, or, just stay safe, guys, and have a nice time, whatever you're doing. So I will say goodbye from me, Chris.
Have a good one. Cheers.
Bye.